We are now a mere 2 days away from early access launch for Old World, and I hope you're as excited as I am. I know some of you are, but for now, Rome has cities to build, babies to make, and Carthaginians to fight. Hello, Legion. This is Hadrian. Thank you for being here. Let's play some more Old World in our early access series. I want to kick off this episode, and indeed the first several episodes of the series, by doing a deep dive into maybe aspects of the game that we haven't been able to cover in previous content. And the most obvious one to talk about in the beginning of this episode is the interface of Old World. I mentioned in the last video while we were looking at game setup that there is an undo option, and there totally is. I'm going to have to get used to having this option as a Civ player, as I imagine many of you are as well. But you have the ability, and I can imagine it only goes back one move. I don't know if it has a queue that you can undo. I kind of doubt that. But it enables you, if you do something really silly or misclick, to undo something that you've done. But there's a lot more going on in the tooltips of this interface that deserves credit. And I want to say, speaking of deserving credit, I hung out in one of Quill's first streams, actually his very first stream of this game just yesterday. And Soren and Layla Johnson were both there. And they were answering questions for Quill, they were answering questions for chat, and they were happy and engaged to be there. And they were there for a large portion of the stream. I wasn't there the whole time. They might have been there the whole time. But that just really gets me excited as a streamer, and it should get you excited as a viewer that this game is being made by developers that from the get-go are engaged with the community of their game. They are coming to the front lines on the YouTube videos, on Twitter, most importantly on the Twitch streams, the people that are playing it live, and actually giving feedback and helping us figure things out and keeping us updated and just staying involved with us. I'm really excited about that, and I think that is a huge positive and a good sign with regard to the future of this game and Mohawk in general. So I gleaned a lot of information from that, is the main point of pointing that out. And I wanted to make sure that I acknowledge that. So this aspect of the interface, beyond the undo button, notice that it forms a sort of checklist that is numbered. So you can press 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's a check at the end to hit 5. So if you're ever wondering, I mentioned briefly last episode, you can hit 5 to end your turn. Why 5? Well, it's because there's a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4. So you can literally have your hand on the keyboard and just kind of go through the steps if you want to do it that way. If that's the way that your brain processes the steps of a turn, it might not be. Maybe sometimes it is, maybe sometimes it isn't. You have the ability to go between the different options here. We have making your next decision, which is down here. We have cycling idle civilian units, idle military units, and idle cities. All of the things that you would need to go through. And of course, it's very different in this game. I want to remind people of this, and I'll probably do this again. I might sound a bit like a broken record, but this is one of the most important changes in Old World. Because the game has an order-based system, when it comes to units, you're not just ordering your units around a certain number of spaces per turn. You can move units multiple times within the limits of the year of time that you have and their humanity, basically. You can't move them infinitely, but you can move them a bunch of times if you have the orders to do it. And the more legitimacy you have, the more orders you will have. Right now, we're at the very beginning of the game. We're just on turn 6, so not a lot going on in terms of influence just yet. But we have already gained the, well, that's his trait. That's the schemer trait. But we have already gained a cognomen, which is the explorer. So if we click on King Romulus, let me see if we can find out some more information. There we go. So all of the tooltips in the game, you can middle click them to make them stay on the screen. That's another amazing aspect. So all of these things that you can mouse over, you can actually read. So this is his cognomen, which means we've explored 3 ruins. And as a legacy, it gives us additional 15 legitimacy. So that means once we have a better cognomen, we'll still have 15 additional legitimacy from having been the explorer. You can mouse over all of this stuff, and obviously there's so much detail that I'm not going to go too crazy clicking on everything, but because there's so much that you can do with that. But the UI of this game is truly, truly impressive. Another small thing I want to point out as we begin, you can select a worker, hold down Control. Thank you, Soren, for this, because you pointed this out specifically, in addition to some viewers that had picked it up from other streams on Quill's channel. But you can point to any tile. Notice the build options for this worker changing now. I've got the wonders selected right now. But if I go to just the basic improvements, look at this. Notice how everything I pick, or everything I mouse over, is showing different options. So you can kind of see what is buildable on different tiles. Really, really cool stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next unit, which is our scout. We're going to keep looking around down here. So we have a second Numidian tribe. They're probably not too happy with me, I would imagine. That would be my first guess. Now, I don't think I can harvest this. Yes, I can. Okay, so the way that harvestable resources work in Old World is a little bit different from what you expect in Civ, and I'm glad I got this corrected too. So in Civilization, when you harvest a resource, it disappears from the tile pretty much for all time. It's gone. In this game, the harvestable resources regrow, so you can gain more of a certain resource over time, and you can even turn on auto-harvest, which leaves a unit on that tile in order to continually harvest that resource as it comes up. So I don't know how much I'll be using that function. Again, still trying to figure out what decisions are important and which things to prioritize in the beginning of a game of Old World, and we're playing on low difficulty for that reason. But that is a really cool feature of the game, and I wanted to make sure people were aware of that. Okay, now we have to choose some production in Antium. I think I'm going to just go with the obvious choice here of, well, see, I do kind of want to build another city. We've got these barbarians here. The question is, if we defeat the barbarians, does that give us a city site the same way that it would defeating the Numidians? That is a question indeed. Now we have a scout training in Roma. I think I will go for a worker first. It's going to take 5 years, and I want to start improving stuff around Antium. But we have a couple of resources. We have some incense, and we have some gems within Antium's reach, which is quite good. Now we have this unit up here, which needs a general, by the way. Are you outside of Rome's borders? You are, and I can't force move you. So as you can see, we have our check mark. Let's go ahead and end the year. You have unlocked the ability to choose an ambition. Ambitions are goals that your families would like for you to pursue, and completing them will grant you and all of your descendants a permanent boost to orders. Hey, completing an ambition immediately unlocks another, and completing 10 will win you the game. So always do your best to fulfill your current ambition. Here are a couple of simple ambitions to get you started. Control 4 cities. I think we're well on our way to controlling 4 cities. We have a third city site already in reach, and if we can get a city where those barbarians are, which we may or may not be able to do, we will definitely have a fourth. So we're going to control 4 separate cities and probably give 1 to each political family. Obvious reasons. So again, I can hit tab if I want to, just to do what the game is suggesting, and this will take me to the first idle civilian unit. Now, if I'd had a decision to make ahead of that, that would have been the first thing the game had me do. So the game is going to move me through this every time. Oddly enough, the check mark is showing here, even though there are still things to be done. So maybe that's something that will change later on so that it works a little bit more like I was expecting. Or maybe I'm wrong about that. But I feel like the check mark ultimately is most useful to me if it only shows up when the game is like, yeah, you've done everything you can with this. There might be different ways of thinking about that, though, so I'll continue to keep an open mind. All right, so we have this scout that can go... I kind of want to send him a good way. I have 14 orders, and I'm gaining 19.4 per turn. Let's just... Ooh, we've got a hilltop here. Let's stand on top of that, have a look around. All right, so as you can see, we've hit forests, and it's very difficult for the scout to see beyond the forest. I have 3... So I can do a couple more moves here. I'm going to go ahead and order the scout to this location. Perfect. And then spend 1 more to take them over here. Okay, we found another Numidian location, which is good. We've got a number of city sites that we can expand to. So it looks like this is going to be our 3rd and 4th city right here. And I wonder if it's still coastline over this direction. We'll have to find out. All right, so these guys need to return to Antium. I'm going to go ahead and order them there. So that takes 3 orders. Now, I can only add a general... Okay, can only add a general before moving. Good to know. And I don't think I could add a general while they were outside of Rome's borders. I don't believe the option was being given to me. So for now, I'm just going to have these guys heal up. And I believe that's all I'll be able to do. Let's take a quick look at our family. Princess Lucilla is now 2. She has a cautious opinion of me. So does my wife. Okay. All right. I see how it is. Gotta earn your trust somehow. Even though you've already borne me a daughter. Your heart swells with joy as you gaze down upon your newborn son, Prince Appius Fabius. Hey! This is a momentous occasion. How should we celebrate the royal birth? Collect gifts from the royal families. Send commemorative coins to all nobles. Present the baby to an adoring public. All right, so this would mean just a lump sum of money. This would mean spending some money, but getting additional opinion from all the families. Or presenting the baby to an adoring public and gaining additional culture in Rome. Now, we already went for some additional culture. Also, there's legitimacy. We already went for some additional culture from an action last episode. So I kind of want to do something that might boost all the others' opinions of me for 10 years. Send commemorative coins to all nobles. Okay. Let's go to the next unit. Now, I just used this worker as a scout, which is a little bit silly. We finished this mine. I honestly didn't even realize I was doing that. And we can build a Shrine of Mars here, which would produce additional culture and training per year. Probably a good idea to start doing that. So I'm going to send you here. Notice that I was able to move them because I had the orders to do it. I'm going to give the order. That's going to take 5 years. And then this worker, I want you to build another farm right next door to the one you already built. And we're going to start looking around here. Oh, perfect. I can get on top of that hill. I think I have another city site here. Holy crap. No barbarians, but that answers my question. The barbarians do occupy a settleable spot. Also, we have a goodie hut here. I don't know if the barbarians will get mad at me for being that close. I'm on a hilltop, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to survive. Looking at their combat strength. Yeah, I think the scout can hold his own. We'll find out. Now, this scout, I probably want to send them over in this direction to find out more what's going on with Carthage. So it'll take 5 orders to send them all the way here. Which side of the river are you on? I think this is probably the safer side. Ah, as I plant them right next to a barbarian unit. Okay, well, we'll just have to see how that goes. All right, so this warrior, I can now add a general. So I can add Queen Consort Rhea Fabia, because again, she is a general. I could add Servius Fabius Romanus, Hostus Fabius Romanus, or Duke Remus. So Servius would gain hardy, or the unit would gain hardy, so there would be a higher fatigue limit. And there's a certain amount of, as a result of his discipline, which is at 2, we'd gain additional XP per year. And, because of his courage, an additional 6 attack. Not going to have the queen leading a regiment. That would be weird. That would be weird at this point. She literally just gave birth to our first 2 children. And I want to make sure that those kids have a good family life growing up. From a narrative perspective, so we're not going to send their mom out to potentially die on the battlefield. That would be traumatic. Let's see. Although if she were to come to me with an event and be like, I want to fight on the battlefield, I would think about it. Hostus Fabius Romanus leads the warrior. So this is a 10% strength bonus, and he has higher courage. Interesting. I kind of like the idea of going for Hostus Fabius Romanus. So this is, notice that they do have a family association. So this would be giving additional power to the Fabii. Let's go ahead and choose that general. And then I think I can promote them as well. Nope, I can't. Because we just promoted that general, which is fine. Okay, so now we have options to build our very first specialists, or to just continue with Rome. It looks like discontent is very close to rising, so I'm going to go ahead and throw a festival And I'm hoping that the festival kicks in immediately and prevents discontent from rising to 100. Now, right now it's at 0, so it's not going to get any higher. But we have a festival in the queue. And then beyond that, I think I do want to train up a settler. Absolutely. I mean, part of me, I don't know, I want to try and avoid anything. It's not going up, though. It's really not. So maybe I can afford to queue that up after the settler. I think I'd rather have the settler first. And our specialists provide, as you can see here, a specialist on the mine would provide additional science. Specialist on the farm would do the same. And this also gives additional food and growth. So it's not just science. There's a lot going on. And it spreads the borders. So this costs 1 citizen. Let's take a look at Rome specifically. Yeah, we have no governor candidates available right now. This requires a garrison, stronghold, or citadel. Talking about making sure that I go through the interface. So this is our growth. You can see that we have 17.5 per turn, and we're at 0 of 100 right now. This is our culture. Remember, every time culture fills all the way up, we get a positive event. And this is our discontent, which we don't want to rise, but right now it's not rising. We have 1 citizen that's been produced, and then we have 1 project. That's that modifier that came in. We have child labor. And we can't click on this, but hang on, I might be able to. Now, middle click doesn't work on that particular interface element. And yes, you can rename cities and characters with this button right here, which is pretty cool. Okay, so that's that. I don't think I have 2 more orders, and those will become gold if I want them to. I can go ahead and get this goody hut, which I kind of want to do. We're going to do a force move. Oh, I have to right click. You are now known as the Intrepid. Hey! Our expedition comes upon a site that looks like the ceremonial capital of some ancient world. An altar centers the court, and 10 thrones sit on each side, kind of like 10 crowns. Raise the city, we could use the stone. Preserve the site and learn its history. So we would become a scholar instead of a schemer. So currently our main trait is that we are a schemer. We could unlock inquiry in the capital. We can redraw text. Oh, nice. We can redraw text. So we don't have to wait for technologies that we pass up to... Ooh, I really like that. That's tempting. Again, the way that the technology system works in the game is like a deck of cards. You're given a set of options. You pick one. The other options that you don't pick, well, it's not just like a deck of cards, but those get discarded. And the way that the rules work in this particular card game is that the deck has to cycle through before those options can come back up. So you're making a pretty big sacrifice. It's not just, I'm going to put off this choice that I don't want right now until the next project. It's the next several projects, and it applies to everything you don't choose. So it can be a little bit nerve-wracking because there's so many different technology choices. But it makes for more high-impact research decisions. And of course, we are stepping onto a holy site. You've probably already read this while I was expounding on research, but make an offering to their gods. So this would basically take away 50 food, and I would become pious, which would provide an additional discipline and plus 8 gold per turn. Yeah, see, I think I like preserve the site and learn its history. I like the idea of being a scholar. What do I gain by being a schemer? His leader mission is to adopt a child. Interesting that he wants to adopt a child. Yeah, I'm going to go for scholar. Preserve the site and learn its history. I like that too much. So we are now a scholar. Can serve as governor or ambassador. Hey, okay. Well, that's good news. Hold on. Let's go to Rome. Oh, it requires... Oh, that's right. It requires a special building first. We have to get to the point where we can build that, but we will get there. Okay, so having done that, we're 1 year away from finishing our sovereignty research, which gives us the ability, I think, to actually build that required building, right? Okay, so clicking on the name of the city is really the fastest way to pull it up. Yep, perfect. Perfect. Let's end the year. Okay, the barbarians are letting me know that they do not want me around. Now, okay, so we can redraw text from your deck on the next year. Click to cancel. Interesting. So it's a button rather than something that happens automatically. It's a decision you have to make. So you can basically say, I don't like any of these choices. Give me 4 new ones next year. Ooh, that's not what I was expecting, but still really cool. I don't like any of them. Just dismiss. Come back next year. Let me know what you think. All right, so let's take another look at the tech tree, which is F6. Our current options, I think, are highlighted. Labor force, husbandry, military drill, and monasticism. So this would potentially allow us... Oh, this is so cool. This is like the first step towards religion. I think military drill is going to be the one that I want to go with. It's recommending monasticism, but playing as Rome, I'm going to stretch my legs a little bit, and I'm going to defy the recommendations. Tyranny or constitution. The time has come. We can either seize control of the court and adopt tyranny, or we can allow for the creation of a national constitution. The people await our answer. My word is law. Society shall be bound by rules. We will not decide right now, but the court will choose the laws. Let's say society shall be bound by rules. We're not going to go the dictator route just yet. That happened later in Rome's history. He started as a republic. So, cycle to next unit. They didn't literally start as a republic, but they were much more in that direction. Became an empire later. So, I think I want to get these guys away from the barbarians, because I'd prefer not to lose that scout. So... All right, so I have definitely scouted out some areas here. Let me go ahead and move you to this hilltop. And we still have a number of orders. I can move you to this hilltop. The Numidians, we are at war with them, so they will probably kill that unit if I get too close. So I am inclined, I think, to... Let me move you here. Ah, perfect. Got another goodie hut. Despoiled ruins. Scavenging through the ruins, we found significant amounts of stone, iron, and wood. However, local raiders could reach the ruins by nightfall. We can't fight them off, but we can carry some of the loot back home. Which of the 3 would you like us to bring back? So we can get more stone, more iron, or more wood. Looks like we need wood the most. There we go. And again, I can force move these guys if I want to take them a little bit farther away from the barbarians. Let's test it and see if the barbarians aggro when I'm that close. Let's figure that out, because I literally don't know. And I'm going to poke my way through these woods over here. Oh, I see a hilltop. Beautiful. And now we've scavenged a lot, or not scavenged, but we've explored a lot more in this direction. I see another city site, too. Let's move a little bit closer to Carthage. Get a good look. Okay, now we can go ahead and attack the barbarians near Carthage. I think I'm going to wait until I have a settler ready to go, so that I can definitely get that city site near Carthage. That'll be a good way to put pressure on them. But I can send the warrior to deal with these guys a little bit sooner. So let's see. If I give this order... Yeah, see, this would be a force move. It would take additional training, and it would take 8 orders. But that's as many orders as I have. And this is my last unit to move. So I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, that's what I want you to do. But I do have to click the button. Oh, interesting. It's not letting me do that, even though it was acting like it would. Oh, that makes me sad. Okay, so I can't promote, obviously, right now. But I can at least do this move, so I'm going to force move them there. Eventually, I will remember that you have to right-click when you force move. But it is not this day. Okay, here we go. That makes more sense. So now I can force move them here. You just have to do 2 force moves. And I don't want to eat up too much of my training, so we're going to finish with that. Oh, they do aggro. Interesting. Okay, so the barbarians did not like having me that close. Let me back off a little bit. There's some Numidians, so we're going to go this direction. We're just going to run away from all the things. Ah, another goodie hut. I'm going to hang out here for now because these guys are genuinely in trouble. Tell you what, I'm going to march you to here because I want you to be, like, definitely safe. Let's go to the next unit. Okay. I want to explore a little bit closer to Carthage without pissing him off. Is this a hilltop? Yes, it is. That's also a hilltop. Let's go there. Beautiful. All right, so it looks like we have some fresh water. So this is just a lake over here. You can tell that it's not a coastline. By the way, before I end this video, can we just agree this game is freaking beautiful as far as its graphics? I mean, you really appreciate it when you zoom in. I mean, the detail on it. And I have most of the graphics just so you're clear what we're looking at here. I'll show you what I have for my current graphics. This is all of the highest settings with only one thing turned off. It's the motion blur. The motion blur I found didn't add too much of the game. And of course, this is an early access title, so we're not necessarily seeing all of the graphics optimizations in the game yet that we would see eventually. But I wanted to go ahead and run it on high so that we could see the improvement in the maximum graphics as the game goes on, and the frame rates, of course, as well. But I found that turning off motion blur doesn't really sacrifice visual quality, but does give me a few FPS back. So yeah, this is what the game looks like on its highest settings. And when you zoom in, it's just, I mean, the detail on these units, the detail on the tiles, on the farms, on the cities, the water. The only thing that would add more at this point would be, well, it's not the only thing. But one of the first things I can think about right now that would be really cool would be a Civ 6 style day and night cycle. That would be really neat to see, for sure. Okay, so having done that, let's go through the rest of this turn before we wrap up. We do have this unit that is getting ready to attack the barbarians, and it looks like they're in range, and these guys are far away. They're going to regret that, so I'm going to move them straight up and go ahead and deal some damage. And there we go. And let's end the year. New thoughts. The birth of your son, Duke Statius Fabius. Okay, so we've had 2 sons. That's good news for anyone that might kill one of them. Has inspired you to see the world in a new light. More than ever, you wish to make the most of your time on this mortal plane. What is most important in life? I like that it's a different event than the first son. My royal bloodline is all that matters. So you can become warlike, and you gain +2 training per culture level. You can become inspired, +2 culture per culture level. So the more cultured you are, the quicker you gain culture. Or you can become gracious. So this is just additional civics, which again, civics are used to develop specialists, finish projects. Unused civics go into the national stockpile, which can be used to enact laws and establish theologies. I like the idea of, I don't know. I kind of feel like my royal bloodline is all that matters. I do feel like I want to kind of adopt that mentality on some level. We do have some things where we've been a little bit kinder, but I want to balance that with a firm hand and saying, no, we are going to protect what's ours, and we're in charge of Rome, and that's the way that is. So my royal bloodline is all that matters. And on that note, I will stop this episode here, and you guys can let me know in the comments. I'm going to record a few more episodes in this sitting, so I might not see the comments on what you would like to see more information on. But I'm going to do my best to, as I mentioned at the beginning of this one, start each episode with just kind of a little bit of reflection on a certain aspect of the game, digging into something that I haven't looked very closely at yet to try and learn a little bit more about it. So I might be kind of random, might be kind of direct. Obviously, the interface down here is one of the more important elements, but there's still more to be discovered. So we might just spend some time looking at tooltips next episode and just see kind of the things that you can mess with when you do that. But I'll make my mind up soon enough. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this one, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to follow along. New episodes are coming out every day at 10 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time. Comments are always welcome. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.